Hello, 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 caregivers. How are you? I see you and I know what you do every single day, and I am here to help you. Okay, let me get my settings straight. Gotta make sure it's all ready because I want to talk to you today about caregiving and work. Caregiving and work. Now, there are millions of caregivers that work every single day. Full time jobs, part time employment, every day. Caregivers work. Now, when they come home to another job that's full time caregiving. Every day that people leave work, they go home to do a second job for 8, 10, 12 hours more after they did their full time work. This is what caregivers go through every day. And I find it really hard to believe that they can't get the support they need. So my thought was, and it was why I do the work I do, is why does caregiving have to be so hard? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I never will. But I've worked with hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands, of caregivers. And the entire thing about caregiving is that it is entirely noble. It is the one of the best things that you can do in life. But that doesn't mean it's not stressful, that it's not overwhelming. It doesn't mean that it's not, you know, just so much. It's just so much that goes into caregiving. And actual caregiving means that you're doing something for someone to help them stay at home on a frequent basis. Now, that frequent basis can be monthly, weekly, or daily, like most caregivers. And the problem with that, again, is they lack support in trying to do something so noble, so loving, so caring. They lack support. And having worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of caregivers, they say the same thing all the time. I wish I had known. I wish we could have done this differently. Well, my hope and my mission is to make caregivers prepared and to help them navigate healthcare, improve patient care, and learn to advocate effectively while in the healthcare system. Now, I don't have to talk about the healthcare system. It is just a lot. Care is disjointed. We've got providers that, we've got some bad apples in providers. We've got people that don't want to do the job. But then we have people in healthcare that really do want to care and really do want to help patients have the best experience. In order to be the caregiver you need to be, there's going to come a time where you have to deal with the healthcare system. It's a must. You're going to be taking, your loved one to appointments. You're going to be taking them to the hospital. You're going to be, interacting with their doctors in many ways. And you have to be prepared for those kinds of things. And you can. That's the good news. You can prepare for those moments. It was Rosalind Carter that said, either everybody is in touch with a caregiver, either you know one, you are one, you're going to need one. I know I don't have the phrase right, but that's how pervasive caregiving is. Okay? Caregiving doesn't care what color you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, who you worship, how much money you have. It doesn't matter to caregiving. It will hit at any time. It could be as simple as an accident, mom fell off, say a step ladder, or dad got into an accident. It could be as simple as that. You can wake up one morning thinking your whole day is going to go the way you thought, and it doesn't. It takes one accident or injury or illness for you to be thrust into the world of being a caregiver. And I'm telling you, it's better to prepare now. If you have anyone in your life that you love, you could end up being their caregiver. What would you do? How would you handle it? Where would you go for help? And sadly, a lot of people don't know. They don't know. So, my thought is make sure caregivers are prepared for what they need to do, because when you help caregivers, you help the patients that they care for. And I don't mean professional caregivers, I mean family caregivers at home, informal, a loved one taking care of another loved one. You know, that can happen at any time. Being prepared is the best way to manage caregiving. Now, if you are thrust into a situation like that where there's an accident or an illness or anything like that, you can do what you need to do and take charge of the situation calmly and effectively. It can be done, and my mission is to help you do it. Now, why do I do this work? Well, I've been a social worker for, God, I don't want to date myself, over 30 years. But I have since 1995. I've been in social work. And since 1998, I've been in healthcare. So I've seen them come and I've seen them go. I mean, as far as staff and, people and patients and all those kinds of things. Um, and there's always a theme. They didn't know. They didn't understand. They didn't even know what was happening at that moment. It's enough during an accident to gather your faculties, gather yourself together and be like, listen, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Um, those themes were themes I wanted to address while I was in healthcare. There, in being in healthcare, sometimes you have to be a party to things that you don't believe in, you don't like, you don't want, you don't respect, but you do it. Your kids got to eat. You have to have a place to live, right? So we do what we do in healthcare. Good, bad, and indifferent. We do it. We do it. I can tell you stories that could probably make your hair curl. But the thing is about it, when caregiving comes into effect for people, it's like you have to just stop. You have to breathe, really breathe, and try to catch up on the situation. What's going on? What's happening? What do you have? What do you need to be able to take care of this person? And if they're going, say, to a nursing facility after a nursing home stay, after a hospital stay, that's another world you have to get used to. There are going to be therapy days that you have to count and all kinds of situations while people are in a nursing home that you have to monitor. It's a lot. So my thought was to have the healthcare system and your employer to help you with these things. Now, I'm not saying they have to be all in your business or and everything like that, but for them to have the tools to be able to offer their employees so that caregiving is easier is only going to make the company itself better overall in revenue, productivity, attendance, retention, all of that stuff will be made better if you support your caregivers at work. And as I said, why I do it is because at my beloved grandmother's end of life, my mother had to caregive for her. She had the lion's share because they lived in the same house. And it was just painful to watch the entire situation. I watched my mother just collapse under caregiving and a full-time job and, personal relationships, social things. I just watched her collapse under all of it. Caregivers grieve every day. They have to grieve for the person that they're caring for because that person is not the person you once knew. You have to let them go. Now they're this person that needs help, needs you to take them to the doctor, needs you to take them to the grocery store, needs you to help with laundry and landscaping and household things. You have to grieve that process as a caregiver. And that makes it hard. That makes it hard. That's unless you don't care for the person you're caring for. And there are caregivers in that situation. There could be good feelings, bad feelings, the whole thing. But watching what happened to my family and watching, from healthcare, with caregiving, all the different things, I didn't want another family to feel like ours did, powerless, helpless. It was a good thing I had some knowledge about the healthcare system so I could jump in when some of the things that went bad went bad. You have to do it. You have to be an advocate. You have to step in the patient's shoes and act like them. And you have to be a partner to providers to make sure the patient has the best care. Caregivers going in thinking, okay, I'll do whatever I got to do. No, you need a strategy. You need a plan. You need documentation. You need to be able to keep up with the healthcare journey of the person you're caring for. And a lot of caregivers care for 2, 3. I know a caregiver that takes care of 5 people and works a full-time job. That is how it is. Caregivers are suffering under the immense burden of what they do and work at the same time. But a lot of people can't give up a job. They can't. And a lot don't want to, as far as caregiving and work. Now, a lot of times employment doesn't win when caregiving comes about. It doesn't win. People leave their jobs to go be a full-time caregiver. They have no choice. They have no choice. But there are millions that still work every single day, every day, and go home and take care of another person or people. And that's how it is. So I feel that employers and the healthcare system should be supporting caregivers more. Like I said, it doesn't mean they have to be all in your business, knowing what's going on and knowing all the conditions you manage and all these things. You're a caregiver. That's the first thing you have to accept. Second, when you're going into work, there has to be some work-life balance. There are going to be times that you come in late or leave early or don't come in at all because of caregiving. This affects people, families, and businesses and organizations. This is why I am challenging employers to come forward, help your caregivers. But a lot of employers aren't even aware that caregiving is a problem for them. They work on turnover and retention and burnout and all these different things that are symptoms of caregiving. They're symptoms of caregiving. I had a colleague tell me that his friend's boss thought he was on drugs or something, or an alcoholic. He was sleeping at work, coming in late, leaving early, sometimes not coming in at all for 2 or 3 days at a time. They thought he was out on a bender. He was caregiving. Do you see? Do you really want your job thinking that you're on some sort of substance? Or do you really want to let them know that, no, this is what I'm doing at home? Now, I know there's not a lot of people that want to go out there and share that. I know you've worked very, very hard to get into the spot you are at your job, and it's hard. It's really tough. But one thing you can do, sit back, weigh the pros and the cons. And that doesn't mean leave your job. That means just see where you can work on things. See where you need help to be able to do everything you need to do. It's already rough, the plate that you've got in caregiving. But you've got to go in with a caregiving strategy. A caregiving strategy. That means you document everything that happens in the healthcare system. That means at work, they have benefits for you, better benefits, better policies, better culture that's more accepting of people who are caregivers. And I guarantee in every business, I can find one. Every business in America, I can find a caregiver. 73% of employees, 73%, and this should stop any employer in their tracks. 73% of employees report caregiving duties at home. 73% of employees report caregiving duties at home. Not 73%. They could be moms of new babies or disabled and sick children. They could be spouses, kids, grandkids, friends, neighbors who help caregive for someone. This affects your business. This affects your employer. This affects the healthcare system. The healthcare system doubly, because they have caregivers and families that come in, and the majority of their employees are caregivers for patients and probably their own family. This is how pervasive it is. This is what it is, and this is how it's going to go, because we're only getting older. America is aging. By 2030, there'll be more elderly people or people over 65 than teenagers and people under 18. That's not going anywhere. 10,000 boomers turn 65 every single day. Every day. That's millions per year. What are we going to do with all of that? All those chronic conditions, injuries. What are we going to do with that? Who's going to care for all these people? I guarantee you it's going to affect business, the healthcare system, and caregivers and families. It's going to affect everyone if there is not a movement, not just an effort, a movement to make things better for caregivers. I want to be a part of that movement. And I created the caregiver effect to solidify a place in this movement. Now, what is the caregiver effect? Well, it's the intersection of where caregiving, work, and healthcare meet. Oh, they meet. When you are caregiving, you'll understand. And it's the effect of caregiving on businesses, employers, families, and individuals. That is the caregiver effect. And it's not going anywhere as long as we have the healthcare system, as long as we have employers, and as long as we have people that we love who need care. It's not going anywhere. Caregivers, or people who think you may become caregivers, get prepared. Not tomorrow, now. If you know your parents have a condition that they're dealing with, read up on it. Find out what the symptoms are so you know whether they're getting better or getting worse. Okay? Find out everything you need to know about their conditions, and you can do that right now. It's easy to look up. We've got the world at our fingertips on our laptops and computers. We can look up anything these days and get information on it. The information is there, but you must look it up from a reputable source. Absolutely make sure that it's from a reputable source that you look up things, okay? WebMD is reputable. Any of the hospitals, your local hospital, or, the big ones like the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Johns Hopkins, they always have information on so many different conditions. And they have information on caregiving too, because they know how important it is. Hospitals know how important caregiving is. They do. They know how important caregiving is. But I had the hospital trying to send my grandmother home with a trach, and no one was trained, prepared, and they weren't offering it. They weren't offering it. Now, I don't know anybody who can just come off the street and take care of a trach. I've been in healthcare. I've worked with nurses and doctors, and I have no clue. So the thing is, when that happened, I had to speak to the social worker about what she was going to do and what she wasn't, because I had done her job already, so I knew what it took. And I knew she was trying to send my grandmother home unsafe to die. That's what was happening. Until I made a phone call and I told her, I said, okay, I will come off of my job, my new job with my new baby, and drive 250 miles to get to you by morning. But I won't be coming alone. I'll be bringing the Department of Health, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, and the Joint Commission. Now, if you want that by morning, you put my grandmother out today. And I hung up. When you know what to say, what to do, and what to ask in the healthcare system, things will move better for you. I promise you, things will move better for you. So I'm here to help you with all of those things, caregiver, because I see you and I know what you do. And I thank you, because caregivers save us $1 trillion, trillion dollars every year in free patient care. We only have about 3 trillion, or just a little over, in our healthcare budget. Caregivers are responsible for 1/3 of it. And they can't get the value they deserve. They can't get the support they deserve. No, that's not right. And it has to come from your employer, and it has to come from the healthcare system, because I definitely don't want to have caregivers coming out of their pocket for anything else. They already pay for caregiving and no one's helping them. So, sorry. So, if that's where you are, or you feel like you may be there, prepare and have a caregiver strategy. Now, when my video, I'm going to put out more videos, and I'm going to put out what you need in your caregiver strategy. I'm also going to put out different topics on dementia, navigating healthcare, advanced directives. I'm going to be talking about different diseases and disease management, all different kinds of things that are going to help caregivers in the healthcare system and at work and at home and at home. That is my mission. I feel like God gave me this purpose, and that's what I'm going to do. So, if you want to get in touch with me, you can follow me on LinkedIn at Your Healthcare BFF, or you can follow me on YouTube at my YouTube channel right here. And that is under the Caregiver Effect as well. You're going to be seeing more of me, so I hope to see more of you. I've got a little fledgling channel. Please subscribe, like, and subscribe when you get to the Caregiver Effect on YouTube. I appreciate it. I'll be back with more. This is your Healthcare BFF, Tiffany, and I want to let you know caregiving can be done. Prepare and educate yourself, and I'm going to be here to help you. Take care. Have a good night.